Have you ever landed on a website that made buying feel like the obvious next step? You see the homepage, browse around, and then all of a sudden you're purchasing whatever they have to offer. That's not by accident. These websites have mastered conversion rate optimization. The skill's so powerful that it doesn't matter how much money you're spending to get traffic to your website because it converts that well. And in today's video, I want to show you exactly how to do the same. We're going to walk through how to build a SaaS website so premium that buying feels like a no-brainer. This is the same system that I've used to help a SaaS company go from 1.5% to a conversion rate of over 6%, meaning that they quadruple their sales without having to increase any of their marketing budget. But before we get into how we actually did it, I need you to understand what a premium website is, because most people hear the word premium and they assume they need to spend all of their time on design. And while design is important, it's only one part of the equation. You see, you can have the best looking website in the world, but if someone lands on your page and it feels difficult to buy, they never will. That's why a premium website does the complete opposite. It speaks directly to your customers, it guides them towards the buy button without feeling like a whole long sales page. Now, the way we actually do that consists of 3 core elements. And the first one might just be the most overlooked because most websites are focused on features and benefits. However, when someone is landing on your page for the first time, that's the last thing they care about. What they do care about is whatever problems they're dealing with. So when you have messaging that speaks directly to their situation, that's when you convert visitors into customers. Now, what we call this is outcome-driven messaging, and it's the foundation of a strong website. To give an example, rather than saying multiple point inspections, you say 76% more job approvals. Instead of saying workflow automations, a shop that basically runs itself. Notice how that takes a random feature and actually paints a picture around it. And that's exactly what we did for this company, AutoVitals. And that's exactly what helped us quadruple their conversion rates. Now, I want to show you a real example of what a before and after looks like so you can see this in practice. Starting with the old hero header, the key moment that sets the tone and tells visitors where they are and why it matters, the headline reads, "The only complete shop success solution driving profitable growth." This doesn't communicate much. You can infer that it's an all-in-one solution, but it really lacks clarity and substance. On the news site, the headline is "Serious Shop, Serious Results." On its own, it's also somewhat vague, but it's supported by a really strong subheadline. From DBI to marketing, everything else you need to run a more profitable, transparent, and scalable shop. This pairing works because the headline grabs attention, while the subheadline clearly communicates both the breadth of the product and the outcome that it delivers. Together, they provide clarity and impact. When you're moving down the old site, you'll see that there's another section that's focused on social proof and stats and testimonials, logos, all grouped together. The issue here is lack of context. The stats might be impressive, but they're presented without explaining what they mean or how they actually connect to the product. As a result, they don't land effectively. On the new site, the approach is a little bit different. It's a simple section followed immediately by outcomes. Here, the messaging centers on results, increasing customer satisfaction, driving loyalty, improving shop efficiency, attracting new customers. Each point is then reinforced with additional outcome-driven language, and then only after are features introduced. The structure here is really clear: lead with outcomes, support with features. If we compare the similar section on the old site, the difference becomes really clear. The old site focuses inward, highlighting the company rather than the customer. Guaranteed results, your long-term solution, innovative and expert trainers, collaborative community shops. These emphasize capabilities, but they don't connect with the customer's needs. In contrast, the new website speaks directly to outcomes, what the customer actually cares about, then reinforces those outcomes before introducing features. Features come last, not first. The old page also ends abruptly with a logo list and a schedule a demo section. While it includes a statistic, it's not contextualized and it lacks impact. The new page continues further and handles this more effectively. In the next section, the new site demonstrates how to properly contextualize for social proof. For example, digital vehicle inspections DVI section starts with a clear pain point. Customers don't want a sales pitch, they want transparency. This pain point exists on both sides. Shop owners don't want drawn out sales conversations, they just want to do the work, and customers are naturally skeptical and worry about being oversold. The product is positioned as the solution: eliminate the sales pitch and provide transparency. From there, the messaging moves into outcomes, shows exactly what's wrong, explains why it matters, builds trust, and increases improved work. Only after establishing the pain point and outcomes does it then introduce the proof: 76% increase in job approvals and 27% increase in repair orders. These stats are effective because they're contextualized and they directly support the narrative. The same formula is then repeated across other sections. So workflow automation, then outcomes, then supporting stats, relationship management, outcomes supporting stats, website outcomes supported by testimonial. Later, instead of relying on a simple logo list, the new site introduces case studies. These continue to focus on the customer while adding more detail about what was actually achieved. For example, see how AutoVitals transformed Advanced Automotive's DBI workflow marketing and website. Results, 14 new appointments from initial campaigns, 21% increase in weekly revenue. Users can explore further by clicking to read the full story. Key takeaway here is that across the entire new page, the formula remains consistent. Lead with outcomes, support with features, reinforce with contextualized social proof. This approach makes messaging clearer, more relevant, and far more compelling. Now, if you want to create high converting websites without having to spend your time fixing your messaging and designing websites, you can book a call with our team using the link below. We've helped over 500 companies, including names like ABC Fitness, Cloudinary, and Shopify, build websites that drive real revenue, like the one we're covering in today's video, which helped quadruple their conversion rate. Now, if you want to see how we could help you do that as well, just hit the link in the description below and we'll see what we can do. But either way, getting your messaging right is only the first step, because even when the words are perfect, visitors are still making split-second decisions on whether they like your website or not. See, in those first few seconds, no one's going to be able to read everything you've written, but what they will notice are the visuals on the screen. Yet most companies don't think twice about it. They use default stock images, which create distance between the visitor and whatever they're trying to buy. Plus, it makes businesses blend in with every other tool on the market. So what you want to do instead is use product-led visuals. Think about it. If you were buying software, would you rather see a random person smiling or some screenshots and visuals of the platform being used? That's exactly the situation we found AutoVitals in. They were using stock photos that had nothing to do with their platform. But once we were able to show the interface and walkthroughs and real platform screenshots, they were able to significantly increase their conversions. Now, what I want to show you is what a before and after actually looks like so you can see this in context. Our language is in a strong place, but visuals matter just as much. When someone lands on the page, they don't read everything all at once. They'll latch on to visuals first, and those visuals need to communicate value immediately. Looking at the old AutoVitals site, the hero uses a generic stock image of an engine, and it doesn't really add anything. There's no clear connection to the product. It's kind of just visual filler. So in contrast, the new website leads with a stylized view of the actual product interface. It highlights key metrics like average repair order value, customer retention rate, workflow processes. Right away, this gives a clearer sense of what the product does and what kind of insights users can expect. The same pattern shows up on solutions pages. On the old site, the page opens up with another stock image. As you scroll, you see product screenshots, but they're small, placed inside of device mockups, and hard to read. The important details get lost. The visuals repeat this pattern: large, generic screenshots, minimal guidance on what to focus on, heavy reliance on the user to interpret what its meaning is. On the new site, the approach is much more intentional. It starts with visuals that directly reflect the software, not stock imagery. Then throughout the page, each section highlights specific parts of the product that align with the content. Instead of just showing one broad screenshot, the visuals are broken down to emphasize key features and insights specific to each section. The key takeaway here is that the difference comes down to clarity and intent. On the old site, generic visuals are used. They're unclear with the connection to the product. User has to interpret the meaning for each one. On the new site, product-driven visuals are strategically broken down to support the message. This approach keeps the focus on the customer and makes the product easier to understand at a glance. Now, that brings us to our final step. This is the final piece of the puzzle, because at this point, you have the right messaging, you have the right visuals, but what you need to do is make buying as frictionless as possible. And we call this the demo experience that's designed to convert. That means having everything on your website structured so that someone who's never seen your product before can turn into a real paying customer. And this is the one core element that we used on AutoVitals to make their shift. Because before we were starting working with them, their demo page was basically just a standard form, which is exactly why it was only converting at 1.5%. However, once we were able to add in things like the right social proof, FAQs, and expectations, they were able to get that number all the way up to 6%. Now, to put that in perspective, let's walk through the before and the after. So we've dialed in the language and the visuals, and now we need to focus on conversions. For AutoVitals, the goal was pretty simple: get more people to book a demo. That's where conversion rates jump significantly, because a live walkthrough makes the value of the product immediately clear. From the moment someone lands on the page, there's a persistent get a demo button at the top of the navigation. This is always visible and always one click away. It removes friction so users don't have to search for what to do next. We also reinforce this action with key sections. In the homepage hero, there's a single field that starts the process. This is a partial capture, making it easy for users to take the first step, increasing the likelihood that they'll complete the full form. Social proof is then layered throughout the site to support conversion. In the hero, a testimonial reinforces the core message in the product section. Stats then validate specific outcomes, and case studies deeper proof with real results. In exploratory sections like product cards or case studies, the focus shifts slightly. We encourage users to learn more instead of just immediately pushing for the demo. This matches user intent at that stage. But once users move deeper, like into solutions pages, the get a demo CTA becomes prominent again. When users click through, they land on a demo page that's designed to reduce friction and build confidence. A simple form with minimal fields, outcome-driven messaging like increasing ARO by $80, customer logos and testimonials for credibility. Below that, the page works to remove doubt. What you expect from the demo clarifies the experience, additional testimonials, FAQs, and FAQs address any last-minute objections. The key takeaway here is that the strategy is consistent and intentional. Make the next step obvious and easy, reinforce the outcomes with social proof, remove friction and eliminate doubt, focus on a single clear call to action. By guiding users clearly and building confidence at every step, the site makes it much easier for visitors to convert. And that is exactly how to create a premium SaaS website. Now, if you want to see how these same 3 principles show up on one of the most successful SaaS websites ever built, check this video out next. I break down Stripe's website and what makes it worth every penny of their $100 billion valuation. I'll see you there.